Have you ever wondered how a handful of women waving placards in front of the White House could change the course of history? Well, nearly a century ago, these women, known as the Silent Sentinels, did just that. Their peaceful yet powerful protests sparked a revolution, igniting the flame for the women's suffrage movement during the tumultuous times of World War I. So how did these brave women, known as the Silent Sentinels, contribute to the monumental shift in women's rights? Let's delve into their fascinating story. To understand the significance of the Silent Sentinels, we must first travel back in time to the early days of the women's suffrage movement. It was a time of change, a time of hope, but also a time of great struggle. Bold women were stepping forward, challenging societal norms and demanding equal rights. Among these trailblazers was Elizabeth Cady Stanton, a woman of incredible intellect and unwavering conviction. She, alongside Susan B. Anthony, another staunch advocate for women's rights, would lay the groundwork for what would become a nationwide movement. They were the heart and soul of the early women's suffrage movement, tirelessly campaigning for the recognition of women's rights. In 1848, the Seneca Falls Convention marked a significant turning point. This event served as a powerful platform where women's rights were openly discussed, and the demand for women's suffrage was formally declared. Yet it was not a smooth journey. These early suffragettes faced numerous challenges and pushbacks. Their ideas were radical, their demands were revolutionary, and society was not ready to accept them. They were ridiculed, ostracized, and even arrested for their audacious claims. Despite the progress by the early 20th century, women were still largely disenfranchised. But the winds of change were about to blow. The stage was set for a new group of women to make their mark, a group that would become known as the Silent Sentinels. Their determination and courage would bring about a significant shift in the fight for women's right to vote. In the midst of World War I, a new group of suffragettes emerged. They were known as the Silent Sentinels. These women were not your ordinary activists. They were fearless, relentless, and most importantly, they were silent. Their silence, however, was not a sign of passivity but a loud cry for justice. Formed under the leadership of Alice Paul and the National Woman's Party, the Silent Sentinels had one goal in mind: to secure the right to vote for women across the United States. They knew that their task was not going to be easy, especially during a time when the country was preoccupied with the war. But they were determined to fight for their cause, using strategies that were as unique as they were effective. One of these strategies was the decision to picket the White House, a first in American history. While picketing was not a new concept, the idea of targeting the White House, the very symbol of American power and democracy, was indeed unprecedented. But it was a risk they were willing to take. The Silent Sentinels stood in front of the White House day after day in all kinds of weather, holding banners that asked, "Mr. President, how long must women wait for liberty?" They were non-violent, they did not shout or disrupt, but their silent protests spoke volumes. Their presence was a constant reminder to the president and the public alike that women's suffrage was a matter that could not be ignored. Their decision to picket the White House was a bold one. It was a decision that brought them both praise and criticism. They faced arrests, imprisonment, and even violent attacks. But they remained undeterred. They knew that their silence was their strength, their banners their voice, and their resilience their weapon. And so, they stood, silently but powerfully, in front of the White House, demanding their right to vote. The Silent Sentinels were not just a group of suffragettes, they were a symbol of the relentless pursuit of justice, of the courage to stand up against the status quo, and of the power of silent protest. The Silent Sentinels' protest was not without consequences. Their picket lines outside the White House were met with mixed reactions. Some admired their courage and dedication, while others were outraged at the audacity of these women, demanding the right to vote during a time of war. But the Silent Sentinels remained undeterred, even in the face of violent opposition. On the infamous Night of Terror in late 1917, many of these brave women were arrested on trumped-up charges of obstructing sidewalk traffic. They were sent to Occoquan Workhouse, a prison in Virginia, where they were subjected to harsh treatment and deplorable conditions. Yet even behind bars, they continued their fight. They protested their unjust imprisonment by staging hunger strikes, leading to brutal force feedings by the prison authorities. News of their treatment sparked outrage among the public. The trial that followed exposed the brutal conditions they had been subjected to, leading to a wave of sympathy and increasing support for their cause. The government's heavy-handed response to the Silent Sentinels had backfired, and public sentiment began to shift in favor of women's suffrage. The political pressure was mounting too. The persistence of the Silent Sentinels and the public outcry over their treatment put the issue of women's suffrage firmly on the national agenda. It became clear that the question of women's right to vote could no longer be ignored. In 1920, 3 years after the Silent Sentinels first took up their posts outside the White House, the 19th Amendment was finally passed, granting women the right to vote. This marked a significant victory for the women's suffrage movement, a victory that was in no small part due to the relentless pressure exerted by the Silent Sentinels. The Silent Sentinels' protest marked a turning point in the women's suffrage movement, shifting public opinion and political will in favor of women's right to vote. Their courage and determination serve as a powerful reminder of the lengths to which people will go in their fight for equality. The Silent Sentinels' protest did not just secure women's right to vote, it left a lasting legacy. Indeed, the impact of their tireless vigilance reached far beyond the realm of suffrage. It was a catalyst for broader change, a beacon for future movements to rally around. Their actions demonstrated the power of peaceful protest, setting a precedent for future civil rights activists. Their resilience in the face of adversity inspired countless other movements, from the civil rights movement of the 60s to the recent women's marches across the globe. The Sentinel story also played a crucial role in the women's rights movement, paving the way for further advancements in gender equality. Their success highlighted the potential of women's political power, encouraging more women to seek representation in government and sparking conversations about gender roles and societal expectations. The Silent Sentinels stand as a testament to the power of peaceful protest and the enduring struggle for equality. Their legacy is a reminder that change is possible when we stand up for what we believe in.